members of the Caulton family to date and how they basically have come to family to date and how they basically have come to be. The will be told by Dorothy Caulton and Sunnie Caulton, place of origin, and then move on to Sunnie Caulton, who will talk to us about his family, place of origin, and how he came to Springfield, and then we'll talk to them both together from the point of being married and raising their family and their family raising their family. So with all that said, we will begin to talk to Dorothy Caulton about her family. Grandma, tell me about your father, where he was from, and your mother and where she was from.
Okay, my father was born in St. Helena. That's a little island off the west coast of Africa. And he came over here. He came over here on did I mess up now?
No, just stop.
He came over here on he was a sailor. He came over here on a ship when he met my mother in New Bedford, and they were married. My mother was born in New Bedford, and her family is there, and that's where they were both married.
How many brothers and sisters did you have then?
Well, my mother, I didn't know all my brothers and sisters. My mother had 13 children, and I was one of them almost at the end. I think that was born. I don't know just how many brothers I had, but I know that some of them were born in New Bedford, and they were born in New Bedford, and I remember having 2 sisters in New Bedford, and I think the rest were born here.
Tell me if you think you had 13 brothers and sisters, tell me, and you don't remember all of them, tell me the names of the ones that you do remember, and where they are today, living or dead.
Oh, well, all right, I'll begin with my sister Florence. She's dead now, and Annie, my sister Annie, she just passed away a few years ago. And as my sister Evelyn, she's still living, and we have my sister Snoopy. We don't know where she is. I don't know if she's living or dead.
Her name is Lottie.
Yeah, well, we call her Snoopy, but her name is Lottie. Yeah. Somebody coming.
It's about your sister, Snooky.
She left Springfield when she had married and had a little girl. She left Springfield quite a few years ago, and last time we heard from her, she was around the Boston area, but we haven't heard any more from her and her family.
Grandma, how did your family get from New Bedford to Springfield? Do you know?
Well, my father, his job in New Bedford, he moved to Springfield, and that's how he got here. And there was, as far as my brothers were concerned, I think they were born some of them were born in New Bedford, as I know, but they come along too. But I had All my brothers have passed away now.
How many brothers did you have?
Well, I'm not quite sure. See, I know I remember 3 brothers, and I remember two younger ones than me, because they were in the hospital. And I remember I had to stay with them in the hospital, so that, to try to keep them company or something. I remember those 2, but those 2 passed away too. That was Alfred and Arthur. They both passed away. And those, if I had any more brothers, I don't remember, except the 3 ones that came here with, when we moved here from New Bedford.
Now, your father was from the west coast of Africa.
Yeah.
Now, was he of African descent? Was he, what was his ethnic background? Do you know?
No, I don't really know. I don't think he was African descent, because he said where he lived, everybody was light-skinned, like, we call them mulatto.
Mulatto,
Yeah.
Okay.
And first he was, when he was younger, he was on the whaling, he used to go whaling with older men. Then he was on, different fishing ships, and that's how he got, when he got to he joined the Navy, I think. And then he got to New Bedford. That's where he met my mother. He was a sailor. Yeah.
Now, your mother was born in New Bedford.
Yeah.
And did you tell us, what was your father's name?
Mittens, Joseph.
Joseph Mittens. What was your mother's name?
Lottie Webster. And her mother was part Indian.
Did your father have any brothers and sisters that you know of?
Those I know of.
Okay. And your mother, did she have brothers and sisters?
No, she had one brother.
One brother?
Yeah. But I won't say that. I was going to say he died.
Did he die in a particular way?
Yeah, well, he committed suicide.
Do you know the circumstances do you know how your mother and father met?
Yeah, they met, as I said, he came over, he was a sailor, and they docked in New Bedford, which is a port for sailors, and that's where they met, and they got married. Yeah.
What was your mother doing at the time? Do you know? Do you know where did they meet? If they just, do you know this? Was it in a park? Was it at a restaurant? That kind of thing.
I don't know.
But they did meet in New Bedford.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know?
They lived there a while, and they had, I don't know how many children they had. They had some children there.
And so you went from New Bedford to Springfield.
Yeah.
Do you know what brought them to Springfield?
Yeah, his job.
Uh,
He's working, I don't know what kind of job he was working, but he moved to Springfield. He came along with his job. Huh? No, I don't think it was, well, he worked for Hampton Chemical and Paint Company,
Tell me about, so here you are in Springfield. How old were you when you were in Springfield, when you first came to Springfield, do you know?
Oh,
you were born in Springfield?
I was born in Springfield.
Okay, you were born in Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
So you were born and raised in Springfield.
Yeah.
Tell me about if you had 13 brothers and sisters, when you were in Springfield, how many do you remember being around most of the time?
Oh, I remember all my sisters, I think, and 3 brothers.
And you were one of the last, you were one of the youngest?
Yeah, I was next to one we call, what's her name, Lottie. The one we call Snoopy, and that's her, she was the youngest.
Tell me, we're going to go from focusing on your family in general to you specifically as it relates to your sisters and brothers in Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do that in 1 minute. Is it on?
Yeah. You want me to turn it on?
Would you turn it off for a moment?
Okay. Can I turn it to Grandpa?
No, that's up. What you doing? That's dirty.
That's dirty.
Wipe it off.
You can do
Can
Yeah.
we take a picture?
Yeah.
Pass it to Grandma.
Well, I don't, no, oh, you got that on. I don't want that.
Cut it on or off?
Oh, yeah, let me turn it on.
By the hand, walking down the street, and, you got it on? You want me to go over it?
Yeah.
My father had Junior walking down the street, you know, so I forgot one of the kids, I think my sister-in-law, Berta, she run up to him and said, Junior, what you doing with that white man? And he said, I'm his grandfather. And she said she was so ashamed, you know.
She had
didn't
never
know.
seen him before.
No, my father.
So then when you were, you went to Chestnut Junior High School,
Mhm.
and then very young you got married.
Mhm.
Is there anything else about being young that you want to, being young in Springfield that you want to
Well,
share with us?
I tell you, when I first come to Springfield, I was young, and my father was awful strict. You know, I had to stay right in front of the house. I couldn't even go to the corner. You know, even allow me at the corner. I guess it figured, too much going on down. Yeah, and so once in a while I could get out, and then I remember that when every Saturday, we went to the show, my mother and father, and my sister, younger sister. We all went to the show, and every Saturday night. And that was before I started getting around, going, that was when I was real young. But
You feel like you had a good childhood. How do you feel about your childhood?
I feel it was, they were strict, but I guess they had to be, I guess it was for the best.
You mentioned your sister that you have never heard from her again.
No.
After she went to New York. How many years has that been?
So many years we were down to
50 years.
Okay.
That's the grandpa said 50.
yeah, but she was this, we've been up here.
Could you think of any reason why you may have never heard from her again?
Last time we heard that she was in New York, and her husband had something to do with the race, like horse racing. And then we heard that I know they had separated, and she had gone to New York. And this friend of Sonny said this friend said he asked somebody about her when he was in the cafe or something. And they said they knew her, and when they went to get her, I think they went to try to get her to this place where he was, that she was gone. To get a hold of her.
You mentioned a brother that committed suicide.
My mother's brother.
Your mother's brother.
Yeah.
Because he.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I knew. They said that I never knew the brother, but they said he committed suicide because he couldn't marry the girl that he wanted to.
You don't remember
No.
Do you know why he couldn't marry her?
Well, I guess the people won't let them marry. Won't let them marry.
So, how'd you meet Mr. Caulton?
How did I meet him? Trying to think I don't know. I used to, they lived on, I lived on Carmen Street, and they used to be up and down the street all the time. I used to see them roller skating and different things. And I tried to roller skate, and he said, I never could roller skate. Roller skate.
Was he cute?
Huh?
Was he cute?
Cute?
Yeah, was Bertha good looking?
He wasn't bad looking. Bad looking. Well, I think, when I met him, I don't think I don't know if he was going around with girls too much then, but when I met him, he had a car. I thought it was his car, but it was his father's car.
Impressing the girls with the car.
Yeah. Yeah. He used to have he used to have quite a few. What was it?
24.
1924 Essex, you said it was. Yeah.
But it was his father's car. Well,
Where's
anyway.
that up? Food. Traded for this. 25 food. Traded for 24 this.
That's written down.
Hey, Mr. Caulton, what's up?
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Grandpa, this part of the interview focuses on you, and what we want you to talk about is your life in the South, your family, your mother, and your father. You can start that anywhere you want to start.
Just like where I was born.
That sounds good,
I was
Grandpa.
born in Columbus, Georgia,
What year?
1906. Lived there, went to Mosley. Got on a farm where we lived different places till we got to one farm. We used to, hire out different farms and lived on their land. They give us free rent, everything, but we worked for them. And with this land guy, when I left Georgia, came here. We were with him from about 14 or 15 to 22. Farm. We ran his farm on half and half. If we made 10 bales of cotton, the white man got half, we got half. He furnished all the mules, the fertilizer, and we paid him at the end of the year when they gathered the crop in. We paid him for the cotton seeds, use of the farm, and so forth. Like that.
Did you work as a family?
Yeah, with the family.
Uh-huh.
Now we hold all the cotton, pick the cotton, hold, it's in the grass and the cotton when it was growing. Then we lay by. I did most of the flying with my daddy. And I went to school a little, not too much. The white man says, he needs to go to school, he ain't gonna be nothing but a farmer. Dad said to his head, oh yeah, that's what you think. And that was it, right there. Finally, my old man, he got tired of the farm. Didn't tell Mr. Wilson nothing. He came north. A year later, he sent for us. Left in the full bloom of the farm. My mother and the kids we saw, we hold the cotton and lay by, did all the flying. I did all the gathering the cotton, took to the barn by myself, all of that. And finally we got a letter from the old man after a year. But kept asking. Charlie by Charlie. We haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. When we did hear from him, he sent us. We know it all the time, But anyway, he says, he asked after he heard me, he says, no, we haven't heard from him. So finally, a letter come to his house. I want you to come north. So that means we had to leave the farm. It was we were laying by and everything, got all the farm gathered and everything. get a lot of corn, a lot of cotton, and all that kind of stuff, and settled up, and we were ready to go. The last day I was in Georgia, I was on the farm for Clarence Walker. That was Honey Walker and Dallas Walker. You never heard that boy. They was dead quite a while ago. The last day I was on the farm, because he came up with us. Clarence came north with me, my sister, my two sisters, my mother. My dad was already here with my aunt. They lived on Vine Street. That's where my wife used to live on Vine Street too. She was born on Vine Street. She was. And that's where they lived when she was born. So, we caught the train, waited all day that night, caught the train that night. It came north, in 1922. That's when we started, and that's when the good times started. It was all bad times before. I got up north, I didn't like it. I wanted to go back. Then I found out I liked it. Came all night long, playing slide down Chesapeake Hill. I didn't like the winter. And I didn't want to go back no more.
Grandpa, before, what are your memories? What are your memories about the South? You know, when you were back in the South, I mean, other than working on the farm and stuff, do you have any bad memories about the way coloreds were treated, or Negroes, as it's called, were treated in the South then?
Wasn't half equal, let alone equal. It wasn't even half equal.
That wasn't.
I was in town one day and I saw a white man hit a colored guy across the head right here with a Coke bottle, busted the head wide open. So what he did, took the colored guy and put him in jail. White man walked on by the business.
That was the kind of stuff that...
All that kind of stuff, you know. Of course, if I wanted to kill a guy, and the white man I worked for worked on the farm, I went to him and said, Mr. Wilson, I want to kill so-and-so. He messed with my wife. Will you get me out? He said, I'll go ahead. So kill him. That's the way it went down south. If a white man liked you, he liked it. And they call you a nigger, and you like that too. You know? Nigger or something, you, yes sir. Just like that.
Did your mother have any sisters? And do you still have family down south right now, Grandpa?
One.
Not one.
I don't know. There's some down there somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Some of my mother's, the Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them was down there around Baycroft, Blacksteel, Georgia, some of them places we never heard. You never know. My youngest brother, I guess he must have died in jail. He killed a guy. And they come up one day and got him out the law. They had a living in a house like that, but up the law. You could look right through the planks. You could look at the planks. But near the chimney, when you run up through the house, well, he was here when the law come. He was here back there, and they didn't see him. They were fixing to leave. He was 18 years old. Put him on the chain, and he was in there when I left. This was in 1917. 1917, I think.
And that was your mother's youngest brother?
The youngest brother. His name was Duke Moses. Put him in jail. Because he killed a white man, a colored guy. If he killed a white man, he wouldn't live to tell it. And dead.
Do you remember when Marcus Garvey came to America? And I think he came in 1916, so you probably...
No, I wouldn't.
You don't remember
No.
if he affected the way...
Well, I remember when Marcus Garvey was supposed to come to Springfield. He's supposed to set up ships to take the colored people back to Africa or something like that. And never seen him. He never got here.
Okay.
Because white people stopped him. He's supposed to be on a Hotel Charles. He never showed up.
Booker T?
Huh?
Do you remember Booker T? I mean,
No.
no.
I heard this all.
Yeah, but tell me, what was your father's name?
Charlie.
Charlie. Do you know anything about his father?
Yeah.
Was he born in Georgia
He was
or
born in Columbus.
Columbus, Georgia?
Yeah.
What was his name?
George Caulton.
That's what George name is.
His name is George Caulton. And his line of work was cutting logs, making fence rails, fence posts, and shingles for houses. That was his trade, going around making a living. He lived with us for a while there in Moultrie. He used to come around where I used to have him saw wood.
He was a preacher, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was kind of a religious man.
When you talk about your father worked the farm, you worked the farm with your father and the rest of your family, right?
He and him worked at the home.
Was it basically cotton that you were picking? All cotton? Any other crops?
Cotton, we raised cotton and corn.
Cotton.
And